Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda Rose and we're going to be talking about parent and teacher conferences. There is nothing that gives me more anxiety than meeting with a parent. I, for one, always feel like I'm not good at communicating. And a part of me does get nervous because you're not really sure how a parent is going to respond to certain things that may have happened with their student, and so it just always makes me a little uneasy. So I've decided to think about what are the things that I have done in the past that have made parent and teacher conferences much easier on me and also just minimized the stress that can come along with just such a long day in general. So because I talk a lot, I'm gonna try to minimize these points. There are 10 in total. I'm gonna try to say as little as possible just for you to get the point of my point. But that's pretty much it. Before we get into the video, don't forget to like my video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And also do not forget to follow me on Instagram. My name is Amanda Rose Life. And let's get into the video. 10 tips for surviving parent and teacher conferences. Tip number 1, use timers. My principal always recommends this, and 2 years ago I had finally taken the advice. Setting a timer on your phone or possibly on the board so that 1, every parent is given the same amount of time and treatment, and 2, it eliminates a parent from taking too much time. There's always going to be a situation where the conversation can go longer than 10 minutes. And if the timer goes off, that is just an opportunity for you to say, hey, unfortunately, I do have other parents that I need to get to, but we can continue this conversation, possibly through email, or let's set up another time during the school day when you can come in and we can further this conversation. Tip number 2, definitely have a sign-up sheet outside of the room. If you have a system of first come, first serve at parent and teacher conferences. Some schools do have parents sign up in advance and you set up appointments. So that is completely different. Definitely have that sign outside if that is the system for your school. But at my school, it's just free reign. First come, first serve. Parents get to see whichever teachers they would like. And so it's highly important to have a sign-up sheet outside and for you to check the sign-up sheet. There are parents who will skip others, or there are parents who have been waiting for too long and then they will go and see another teacher instead. Again, to respect their time as well, you want to make sure that you're referring back to that list, checking off the names that you have already seen, and also calling them in order of when they have in fact arrived. I would highly recommend a sign-in sheet so that everything stays as organized as possible. Tip number 3, use the sandwich method. This is most commonly known as providing a positive, a concern, and then ending with a positive. This strategy is used for all types of conversations, not just for parent and teacher conferences, also for mediation environments, but it's highly effective with parent and teacher conferences, especially if you have a student who is a little bit more difficult or possibly struggling academically. It is really important for you as the teacher to find at least two things that are positive about that student. Possibly that they participate or that they get along well with their classmates. Maybe they're enthusiastic about one of the subjects. Maybe they excelled really well in one area, but maybe struggling with another standard. It's highly important because no parent, no one wants to hear all of these negative things dumped on them about their child. And it's also not true. Every single person has something that we can say that's positive about them. And so definitely take your time. Think about that student. What is at least one thing that you can say to that parent? But the goal would be 2, so that you can sandwich the positive, the concern, and then also the positive as well. It will allow for there to be less tension if there is between you and the parent. And it also allows the parent to see, hey, you're not just there to point the finger, but you are seeking to genuinely help their child by acknowledging and bringing forth these positive things about them as well. Tip number 4, provide solutions. If you have concerns about academic performance or behavior, then you must also provide solutions. Hey, this is what we have already tried in this classroom. What are some things that you have already done in the classroom to support that student so that that parent sees that you are being supportive, that you are trying new things, that you didn't just attempt one thing and left it off to the side. So you definitely want to provide solutions, and also ask the parent in their previous school experiences, what are some things that they have seen work with their child, and possibly you can use that as well to see some type of improvement in that student next semester or the next time that you do meet with that parent. Tip number 5, have student work on hand. You want to be able to show the parent possibly a test score, a writing sample. It's very, very vital that that parent sees what their child is producing in class. Let's say you have a student who is not completing the work. It's very important for you to show proof. You need to be able to present things to parents. It's not enough just for your word to speak, but it's so much more powerful to show them what their child is producing. Or if their child is actually producing excellent work, it's important to show that as well and let the parent know, I've used this as examples in class of where students should be and reaching the standard. Parents would love to know that you've used their child as the overall example for where you want all of your students to achieve. But definitely provide student work. Parents need to see what their kids are doing in school. Tip number 6. If the student is present, have them share about their performance and their behavior in class. Now, I know for some schools this is just an obvious one, especially if you have a parent and teacher conference where the appointments are already set up. I know that some teachers will have their students fill out self-evaluation sheets. However, it's very unlikely that I will even see 20 of my students out of the 85 because I do have seniors. So if the child is actually present, it's a really good idea to put the responsibility back on them, especially if you teach high school students. Why don't you tell your mom and your dad? Why don't you tell your grandma? Why don't you tell your sister how you've been doing in class? That's it. Now you have actually eliminated yourself from being the bearer of bad news if this student is struggling, and it gives that student an opportunity to be honest, and it's coming from them and their mouth versus you having to be the one to say it. And so I love using this when the students are present because it takes a lot of the pressure off of you as the teacher and it holds the student accountable. Tip 7. Share any resources that you may have. It's really important for parents to be able to be active in the academic life of their student, even at home. Here in New York, we have Regents classes that are required for graduation, or exams that are required for graduation. If there are resources online, websites, practice questions, you want to be able to provide that to the parents. If you have a Google Classroom, remind your parent that your child has access to this online database where you are sharing resources, where you are sharing homework and information and slides and class notes. They can ask their child to log in as themselves and see everything that is available for your class. Tip number 8. Have a list of things or topics that you would like to mention. I've learned that because of my nerves, sometimes I get so tripped up that I forget everything that I would like to say, or there may be moments where it's just awkward and the parent is not saying much, you don't have much to say, and so having a list of things that you would like to mention. So some things would be possible exam scores that you would like to mention. Maybe there's an upcoming field trip or a really cool project that you're going to start introducing to your students. It's just going to be a nice way to allow them to understand the culture of the school, also the culture of your classroom, and everything that you are expecting from your students. Tip number 9. This may seem out of place, but it is: have some coffee. Do something to reawaken yourself. Usually, parent and teacher conference days are long, especially after teaching all day, and then you have to be in the right mind space to be able to have a conversation that makes sense. Let's be honest, our minds, they get tired. And so for myself, I like to have a cup of coffee about an hour before the conferences so that I feel alert and awake. Maybe coffee is not your thing, possibly a nice warm cup of tea. Maybe you want to go out and grab a smoothie. But I would definitely say do something that will reawaken yourself so that you feel like you're in a very positive headspace to be able to have these conversations with parents. Tip number 10. Give parents a way to contact you. Some teachers use apps. I like to just be super simple and communicate through email, but you want to be able to leave the conversation with a way that the parents can contact you. You can print the way that they can contact you on a little slip of paper, and as they're leaving, you could just hand it to them almost like a card. And I think that this is just a great way, again, to keep communication open. If your school already provides an online system, whether it be for checking grades or to contact parents, remind the parents of that as well. We log all of our grades on an online system at my school, and so it's important for me to remind parents that they can constantly check their child's progress through that website, and then they can reach out if there's anything on there that they are concerned about. Those are my 10 tips for how to survive parent and teacher conferences. These are the most simple ones that I can think of that really help me for those days. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.